Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before I talk about my guest today, I'd just like to remind you, if you enjoy this content, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And my guest here today is Robert Northington of the band Bass Trenches. Robert, how you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing great. So why don't you tell us a little backstory about what got you into music, kind of what inspires you, and what you're currently doing right now?
I got into music at a pretty young age. I had a friend whose uncle was a music producer in New York in the late 90s and stuff. So he was around for the whole Wu-Tang era, and I was introduced to Busta Rhymes and all that stuff. And what was it? I can't think of the name of him. He was a really Twista. He was a really fast rapper, and I liked the way you can manipulate beats and stuff, and the synthesizers that were coming out and stuff, like the Doors and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really into that.
Yeah. So what was there a personally a song that you first heard that really inspired you to pursue this, or was it kind of just an accumulation, or was there that one moment where you're like, oh my God, I need to do this for my life's mission, basically?
There was a song, I can't remember the name of the song, but it was by Buddy Holly that I really liked, because I listened to everything. I listened to literally from the Moody Blues, Jefferson Airplanes, up to, Attila and Bring Me the Horizon and everything. So, and Orchestra, even though a lot of people that hang out with me tell me to turn it off.
Yeah, well, I got a fun fact for everyone on here too, and for you especially. When I live in Minnesota, I'm right up by Minneapolis, just about 10 minutes out of it. But when we went to go pick up my dog that we got last year, we went to someplace in Iowa. I forgot what the city was called, but it was the same place where Buddy Holly died in that plane crash with the Big Bopper and those guys. So we visited the memorial and everything, and they have the hall where he played at the night that he died, and it was a really surreal experience. And they have, as the memorial there, they have a big probably 20-foot pair of glasses that just sit there right by where the crash site is, like Buddy Holly glasses, like his big old glasses that he has. So yeah, I mean, that was one of those inspirational things too for me. I mean, Buddy Holly, those guys were the early cases of rock and roll, and we have a lot of rockers on this podcast. So yeah, it's very, very, very big and dear to most of our listeners. So when you do you remember the first ever time you performed in front of people and kind of what that was like for you?
The first time I actually performed in front of people, it was I think about DJing. I was about, I would say 18-ish. It was at this little venue. I think it was only only 2 people showed up, but it was weird because I was so nervous up until I got on stage, and then once I started mixing and doing everything, I just completely forgot that people were there. And then the 2 people that were there when I started, when I looked back up, by the time my set was over, it was maybe 20 more people there.
Yeah.
And I just completely got lost in the music and completely forgot about everything and just had fun, and all my anxiety and stuff that I had just went away. It was incredible.
That's great. So what would you say is probably the biggest misconception that people have about DJs?
We're not talented at all.
Yeah.
Now it takes a lot to be able to stand in front of a group of people, and and you're controlling the whole vibe of your crowd. Mm-hmm. So if you mess up, that's poof. It's really hard to recover from that one.
Yeah.
And, and plus there is a lot of people that want to be DJs and everything. I'm not saying I'm the best in the world, because I'm still learning every day. But, yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking and shattering, just as when I was in bands and stuff.
Mm-hmm. What would you say, for those people out there who do want to become DJs or are thinking about doing it, what would you say is one of the most important things that they need to know ahead of time before beginning their DJ career?
Definitely know your audience and what you want to do. Definitely understand your equipment. Um, always and always know how to count music, or even if you just strictly want to be a DJ, I feel like you should still understand musical theory and everything, and kind of understand how the production of the music is made, so that you can better mix it, and what goes with what, stuff like that.
How important to you, like when you're talking about like the musical theory and going with it, how important to you is maintaining like a certain, I'd somewhat say like a certain quality in your music, sort of like keeping it in the same sort of category? Do you like to mix it up a lot when it comes to the songs that you do?
I definitely try to mix it up, but not like too much. Like if I'm DJing dubstep, and then I feel like there's a really good trap song that would go really good, like mixing wise in with that, I'll mix it up like that, because if you're listening to dubstep for 30 minutes straight, and then the next guy that goes on is doing dubstep for 30 minutes straight, people are eventually going to get bored. You definitely want to keep people interested, so you want to keep grabbing people's attention with different like switch ups.
Yeah. I've always wanted to ask a DJ this: is there ever a time where you played a song that you don't like, or is all the material that you have ready for you songs that you like?
I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of DJs that play stuff that they don't like, but because it's popular, they'll just play it. Me, no, I definitely have to like it, because if I'm not enjoying the music with my crowd, I won't be having a good time, and I'll freak out and mess up.
I was gonna say, I've always been at these places where they're playing some of these like weird songs, and I was like, "There's no effing way that this DJ enjoys this. He's just doing it just for the crowd." And I was like, "Yeah, there's no way." But when you're arriving at a venue, one of the big things that we also like to talk about is performing live and kind of that high and thrill that people get. When you're arriving at the venue, do you get that high kind of as soon as you arrive, or does it kind of wait for you to get on stage, or is it one of those things where even when you wake up during the morning, you're like, oh my God, I got to perform today? How does that high really affect you, and how much does that mean to you?
Really what I like to do, like, I prep for, 2 weeks minimum before a show, so that I know I got everything down. And then like, as I'm getting closer to the venue, I'll start getting excited. And like, I normally show up like an hour early to any show that I do. Any promoter will tell you that. And I'll interact with everybody there first, and like get to meet the people and stuff. And then like, once it starts getting closer to the time for me to get on stage, I'll start getting nervous, like really nervous. But then once I play like the first 2 songs and I mix them good, then I'm completely fine, and I'm just having a good time. Like, I'll jump up on top of the tables and stuff, and I'll go out in the crowd with people and everything. And, I think one show I did, I just got like so excited, I took a bottle of champagne and just started spraying it everywhere. Like that.
Have you had any like fights break out at any of your shows?
No.
I was gonna say yesterday we had the first guy that ever has been on. This is our 20th podcast, I think, and yesterday we had the first guy ever who had a fight at his show, and we broke a barrier down with that one, so I was happy for that. But when you're doing your stuff live, do you ever mix songs at different points, or is there always kind of like the same routine where like, I'm gonna mix this song at this point, or is it ever kind of like, if you're in the mood and you're like, hey, I'm gonna try something new tonight? How's that work with you?
I try to do like how DJs will play like the same set, like every night. I definitely, at least as soon as I do one show, I won't even look. I'll go through my playlist and I'll delete 5 to 10 songs, just so that I have to go find 5 or 10 new songs to put into my set list, so that I'm not doing the same thing. Because I don't want people to be like, oh yeah, we're going to expect this. No, I definitely want to surprise people, especially when it's like something new.
Yeah. What is your go-to genre that you'd like to say that you use the most for your DJing?
I did DJ when I first started out a lot of trap because I'm very hip hop oriented. I even like run this group with my friend Kid Kong, A.O.E, Audio Optic Entertainments, and it's like very hip hop oriented. So I like gravitated towards more of the hip hop or like the rap trap aspect DJing, and then eventually I started doing more of the EDM stuff like drum and bass, drum step, jungle, rhythm. You know, right now is I'm really into like rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very big into that.
Yeah. So you mentioned before when we were kind of talking about when you were arriving early at venues, your promoters kind of like recommend an hour early. But I was thinking with promotion-wise, as being in someone that has been in a band and is now a DJ, what would you say is the big difference when it comes to promoting being a DJ as opposed to promoting a band? Or are they more similar than they are different?
Well, when I was in a band, you know, like we didn't really have the internet per se. So we had like street teams that went out and we handed flyers. We posted flyers up everywhere. And I was in school and just telling everybody and trying to sell tickets. But now, definitely with the whole new, you know, social media era, it's a little bit easier because you can invite people, you know, just, hey, come to this event. I have tickets, you know, hard copies. Nowadays, people don't even really buy, you know, tickets to like local shows. They'll just show up and pay at the door. And normally promoters also, you know, help promote a good bit because they do most of like the internet stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even my first show, even when I still had the Facebook, I was still going out and handing out flyers and like taping them up. I was getting like stickers made and slapping them on buses and everything. So,
what would you say, since you're also a promoter as well, what would you say is the number one key that you need to be able to do in order to be a successful promoter?
Definitely respect your artist. Definitely, because like I quit DJing I would say 2 years ago when my name was Triple X Bunny, and the reason I quit is because promoters just didn't they weren't business oriented. They were just doing it for money to, you know, just do drugs. Like the whole EDM scene just kind of took a whole turn as I was entering it. So I stopped, and these promoters are, you know, like I can't say too much on camera about what goes on, but I don't want to, you know, associate with those type of people and, you know, condone actions that I wouldn't do or anything like that.
Absolutely. So you're the second person on this podcast so far that has started up their own kind of company and is starting to produce other bands. What would you say was the biggest, earliest struggle that you had to deal with when you first started out, and how'd you overcome it?
Well, when I first started out, once again, this is a whole computer, you know, very technology, you know, generation. When I started out, the first beat I ever made was on a MPC, and we rigged it to record into an 8-track player, and then out of the 8-track player, it would record into a tape deck. So we didn't have screens and, you know, DAW systems and, you know, I can turn my keyboard into a piano, you know, and stuff. Plus, so actually that was just like the biggest transfer for me, because anybody that has worked with me will tell you I'm still learning new stuff about, you know, FL Studios and Logic and Ableton. So right now the hardest thing is just like understanding how it all works now. Yeah. You know, because I went from analog to digital. So
how hard is it to acquire musicians to like sign with you or to let you produce them? Or are most people generally more wide open when it comes to offers, or how has that experience been with you?
Well, we really don't sign anybody. It's mainly just like a small collective of us, and it's just like Kid Kong, Young Simba, Blurred, DJ Yellout, who's another EDM producer that I've worked with, and an audio engineer, Zachary Kruger. And, we all just decided, since we were all like friends, to just start this little thing, But we might be signing people, a little bit later on once we're more well established. And but if we do decide to start signing people, they definitely have to be unique, like a whole different shift from, like, if they're trying to do like rap, they need to do it like a whole different way than other people. Like something that really grabs your attention.
Yeah. So when I started this podcast, one of the things that I was astonished to find was that Minneapolis, where I'm right next to, is a huge metal scene. I would have never guessed that they had that many metal bands and that it was just that huge of a scene. I see that you're kind of in the Baltimore area. What would you say is the main musical genre that's really the big deal over in Baltimore?
Right now, hip hop. Definitely hip hop, and we have some metal bands here, but they're like very, very, very unheard of. Because starting a band, nowadays is so hard, to get a drummer, a bassist, a guitarist, and a lead singer all on the same page and keep them together and having everybody at the same motivational level, to get it done. But right now, because I work with a lot of, like I said, hip hop artists, there's a lot of really good, rap artists and very, very, very good producers coming out right now. So definitely more of a hip hop scene here.
How much do you think flexibility has when it comes to dealing with maybe artists from multiple genres and being able to adjust to maybe their style of music when you're recording them or producing them or trying to get them gigs?
Can you ask that again?
Yeah. How much do you think flexibility plays in the role of basically when you're dealing with artists with multiple genres and you're getting them recordings, you're getting them shows, you're helping produce them? How much does flexibility play in that?
Definitely like a lot, because if some like me, because I also sell my my instrumental beats and stuff, if they want to like do a collaboration with me in EDM wise, or they want to like do a show that's at a venue that's like normally like an EDM venue, it's definitely like something they got to adjust to, and we all have to adjust to it, because even within our group, we have 3, 4 hip hop artists and 2 EDM producers that also make rap beats, and we all just kind of, it's definitely like you really got to adapt quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to the part of the podcast where we do kind of our Inside the Actors Studio-esque thing where I ask 5 questions. I have all the stuff tallied up for all the listeners that have been following us for this month that we've been... I think we're actually coming up in the month anniversary in a couple of days, so I'll make sure to post when we're at the month. And I want to thank, again, everyone that's subscribed to this channel. I really appreciate it. But we're doing another round of Inside the Actors Studio, and our first question is, out of all the songs that have ever been written in the history of music, what is one song that you personally wish you would come up with yourself?
The Moody Blues, White Satin.
Yes. Great song.
That's one of my favorites. That or Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit.
Oh my God. White Rabbit, yeah, that's... I mean, if you're ever smoking anything, you have to have that song playing in the background.
Definitely a good acid song.
Yeah. Okay, so our second question is, out of all the artists in the world, dead or alive, doesn't matter, you can pick either one. If you could play one concert with any one of them, who would it be and why?
Dead or alive?
Well, it could be both, yeah.
It would definitely have to be Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash, yep.
Yeah, definitely Johnny Cash, because he was definitely very big influence on me to be, a little bit different than everybody because, like Buddy Holly, Big Bopper, they were all like really colorful, like happy music. And, Johnny Cash was, all black and definitely talked about some heavier stuff, but was still in the same category as them.
Absolutely.
So that was definitely a big influence.
All right. Now we got for number 3, we got out of all the venues on the planet, if you had your pick to play at one of them, then what would you choose and why?
The biggest venue, or the venue. I would have to say that's a hard one. I don't know. I would have, Where do they hold the orchestra, the big orchestra festival like in New York?
Carnegie Hall?
Yeah, that. Definitely there.
Carnegie
Hall. I
would
love there.
Yeah, that would be great.
I also play violin, so.
Yeah, my personal one is always the Slane Castle in Ireland. That would be mine, but, okay, guilty pleasure song. Guilty pleasure song that normally no one who had first met you or has known you would ever think that you like.
Oh, God, there's so many of those. It would definitely have to be like, mainly anything Beethoven.
Yeah?
Yeah, because people walk into my room and I'll be listening to it and they're just like, whoa.
Before I ask you the last question, how much does classical music really influence your producing, or do you ever like give suggestions to some of your artists about, hey, maybe you might want to check out some classical stuff to maybe remix into your beats? Does that ever play any part?
Oh, definitely. When it comes to strings, different organs, cellos, violins, stuff like that. Yeah, it's I feel like everybody should listen to classical music just to understand, how to compose sounds. Because you got to think, all of that sounds so good together, and it's so many different instruments at once. And it's beautiful how you can make it all sound like one awesome song.
Yeah. It's amazing how much classical music the modern person knows, but they don't know, like, really. Like, they'll have it memorized in their head, but then as soon as they, like, hear it, they'll be like, oh, I don't know who did that or what it's called or anything. Because I used to enjoy, I still watch it every once in a while. I have it on my liked videos where it's classical music that you know that you don't think you've known, where it's like 50 pieces of classical music, and I knew every single one of them just from like commercials, from just random things that they're in. And then that really got me listening into more classical things. I mean, Beethoven for sure. I mean, Für Elise is one of my favorites. It's just such a simple thing that it's just, and it's one of the most well-known pieces of music of all time. So it's just, classical music is definitely, I think, for anyone that wants to become a true great composer of even modern music, you need to learn, like, I'm a history major in college, so you definitely need to learn, like they always say, the past repeats itself, and the better you understand the past, the more it helps you understand the present and future, and that goes with musically anyway, too. You got to know how the simple basic stuff in order to move on. So I was going to ask you for the 5th question, your guilty pleasure genre, but I think we can rack up classical for that one.
That or anything 60s.
Yeah,
anything 60s.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a Beatles cover band on here, I think, in a couple of weeks, so that should be interesting. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So we gotta ask. I mean, everyone's probably that's been looking at this video so far has been wondering, how the hell did you get your ears like that? And what was that entire process going through? That is insane.
Honestly, to tell the truth, I didn't even want them.
Yeah?
I did. All of my friends, like a couple of my friends had them, and I always said, like, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that to my ears, this and that. I'm just going to stick to tattoos, and that's it. And then I got my ear pierced, and it turned out that apparently there's, like, a wrong side of your ear that can be pierced. And so I pierced the other one, and right after they pierced it, they took one of the tapers that they used to make the holes bigger and tried to push it through my ear, and it ended up not going through all the way, but like just enough to leave a hole. And then I was like, fuck it, I might as well, you know,
Yeah.
just go all out with it. And then I just started getting like really into it, and then I ended up with them. They were bigger, but now they're smaller.
Yeah, when you started out though, was it ever like kind of weird? Because I think when you have them off, like you kind of might like feel a different breeze like coming through. Did it take a lot to get adjusted to, or was it kind of just some of those things where you're just like, oh, it's nothing?
Yeah, you definitely have to adjust to it, especially like when you're sleeping or something.
Yeah.
Like with them, and definitely like the wind when it's winter.
Yeah.
Definitely goes to your neck. There's no hat that can really hide that.
Yeah.
But the more sizes you go up, the more you start to get used to it.
Last question we got, folks, about the ears. I was always wondering, with someone who has ears that big, are you ever nervous that like you might accidentally like clip into something that might like tear the little part off, and then you're like your ring kind of like the circle kind of gets broken? Is that ever kind of like a fear, because the skin is kind of not so deep in that part?
Yeah, I've got them caught on some things, but like for the most part, it doesn't really happen as much as you would think.
Mm-hmm.
Like even I thought that, like if I got into a fight, someone's finger could go through that and rip my ear out. But it's never happened.
Yeah,
like it's definitely like a weird thing, like everybody thinks.
Yeah,
even I still think it, and it's like it's never happened to me yet.
Well, and because I like the most I've seen of those are like those pictures of like those usually like those African tribes where they have the really big nose rings that like cover up, like they make their whole nose like this big, and then they have like the earrings that like sag all the way down to like here. And then I'm like, oh, wow. But yeah, it was great talking to you about those ears, because it's just one of those things where like when you see something that's a little bit different, it's just human nature to just wonder like why, like what's going on. But yeah, dude, Ben, we really appreciate you talking to us about that. But what would you say is your plans for your company and for producing within the next year? Do you have like any goals, or do you have any upcoming shows that you'd like to talk about?
Right now I don't have any shows coming up. Right now with the whole A.O.E collective, all of us really we're just trying to like push the boundaries of like what we can all do, especially like me and Yell Out trying to mix their hip hop and everything with our EDM and like make something kind of new and just mess around. But definitely with the company, we really want to like get it bigger and everything, because this company started out like in my garage, that like it was just going to be a recording studio, and then it just turned into like everybody was associating A.O.E and A.O.V with Weaver or Kid Kong and Simba, and then we were just like, screw it, we might as well turn this into like a little brand.
Well, we can see behind you that you have a little bit of a recording setup right behind you. Do you record most of your stuff at your house, or how does that work?
I don't personally record any of the vocals, strictly because I still got to study it. We have an engineer for that, Zachary Kruger over at Kruger Studios, who is a part of the team, and he records all of them. But I'll do like little rough drafts here, just like fooling around to see like what we can do and play around with it here. And then we'll take it over to him, because he's more Pro Tools associated. Like he's not a producer, but he's very smart and an amazing engineer. Like with the mixing and mastering, he's insane with it. Mainly here, like this is where like I make all my beats and everything. Because if like I go anywhere, it's like I can't really concentrate. Like I got too much stuff going on around me. Like when I was just in Mexico recently, I brought my laptop, and like I was on the plane, and I was like trying to work on music, but I couldn't even focus on it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely know the struggle about editing and mixing and everything. I run this YouTube channel really by myself. I edit it myself. So yeah, I would definitely realize the opportunity of having a good editor and mixer. And when you are coming up with your beats in there, what really inspires you most? Is it like day-to-day stuff, or is it like stuff you're on the news, or is it like a combination of both? What is your process like?
Normally, when I go into a song, I have no idea what I am doing at all. I'll play around with sounds and stuff, and I'll associate it with like if I hear something that like a sound or like a drum or a snare, you know, it'll kind of like remind me of like a song that I like, and then I'll try to like make that type of genre and throw like a twist on it. But then normally, you know, like after I make the intro, like the whole song I've already made like a whole new song in my head out of it. And then, you know, it'll take me 5 or 6 days to get one song done, just because like I want to keep changing and adding and taking away from. So it's definitely a process, but once I step away from it, and normally I'll go down to like Baltimore City Harbor and everything, and listen to like the street artists and everything, and definitely like hear like different sounds of like the city, you know, just like cars, or, you know, cars running over manholes and stuff. Like little sounds like that can definitely like trigger something.
Yeah. What was the first song that you ever writ? Do you remember what it was called, and what really inspired you?
First song I ever writ, because when I started out, I wasn't even a producer. I wasn't a DJ. I started out as a rapper, surprisingly, and I think the first song I wrote was with Austin Eller in my basement. And I think it was called Toxic Wasteland. And once I wrote it, and then I went and like had to go find the instrumental. That's definitely when everything clicked and was just like, yeah, no, this is what I want to do.
Yeah,
you know,
that's awesome. So where can people find your group and where your company too? Where can they find you? Do you guys have YouTube, Spotify, Facebook? Where can they find you?
Right now, you can look us up at Audio Optic Entertainment on Facebook. You can find my stuff on Bass Trenches on Facebook. On SoundCloud, Bass Trenches. Also, I have another SoundCloud where I put all of my instrumentals, and that's BT Productions. And then all the other infos. Right now we're working on making a YouTube, because I do these vlogs that I've been editing together and everything recently. And once that's up, it'll be on the page. So everything that needs to be known right now is on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll definitely leave a link for all that stuff below. And when that YouTube channel launches, definitely let me know too, and I'll give it a shout out. And I'll have all the links to all your stuff below. And lastly, when someone comes up to you, maybe at like a concert, and says like, "Hey, you did a really great job. I was really inspired by that song." How much does that really mean to you as an artist, and even as like a producer too? Is that really what makes it all worth it? Like all the struggles that you have and all of the extra hours that you have to stay up, all that extra work that you have to put in. How much does that mean to you then?
Oh, that means the world. My fans are like my best friends. I make friends with every single one of my fans. Like they message me on a daily. I check up on them. Like without them, we definitely wouldn't even, be anything.
Yeah.
So like you said, when you're a promoter, definitely respect your artist, but as an artist, you need to respect your fan base, because without them, you're nothing.
Yeah.
And I appreciate every last one of them, and I love them all so much. Like, and I make sure, like, I'm always taking time out of, like, studio sessions to, talk back and message back and answer anything. And sometimes, like, I'll send them stuff that no one's even heard yet, and ask them.
Well, one of the things also, I thought that was going to be the last question, but I just thought of another good one. So when I started this whole podcast, I didn't realize how much it would sort of like take over, where when I'm not doing it, I'm thinking about a lot. When I'm at my normal job or when I'm just hanging out with friends, I'm still kind of thinking about, I wonder if I could have this guy on the podcast. I could wonder if I had that. When you're having your own company, you probably go through stuff like that. How do you maintain a positive work-life balance where you aren't just constantly thinking about one thing or thinking about the other thing? How does that work for you?
It's definitely hard because I do so much different stuff, because when I'm not producing, I'm DJing. If I'm not DJing, I'm editing. If I'm not editing, I'm doing Photoshop work. If I'm not doing Photoshop work, I'm normally doing like paintings or something. And I don't know, my brain just doesn't like to focus on one thing. So like if I'm working on a song and like I hear something like as I'm making it, and I'll be like, oh wait, I just thought, okay, I can mix this song with that song DJing. So right now this is like my full-time job and everything.
Yeah.
And definitely it's like weird. It's definitely
yeah.
Definitely hard to keep everything just.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, man, it was really a pleasure having you on the podcast. I mean, everyone check out Bass Trenches or Audio Optic Entertainment. I mean, I've listened to a few of these guys' stuff, and I mean, they're up and coming for sure. I really think that you got to check these guys out. Let them know. Do you have any merch available too that people could buy?
Right now we're in the process of that because, like I said, we're still kind of establishing ourselves, and we want to make sure like any product that we put out is the highest quality. You know, like I said, like we don't want our fans getting a T-shirt and then washing it and then the logo fall off, or
they don't want it to be like that Kanye T-shirt when he sold the plain white tee for like $70 or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, we definitely want it to be something that like not only we like, but everybody else that definitely would buy it likes.
Yeah.
So we want to appeal to everybody with the merch.
Yeah, so yeah, you definitely let me know about that too, and the merch releases, and I'll give a shout out to that too. But I mean, it was great having you on the podcast, and we'll definitely keep in touch. You're more than welcome to come on again if you have anything else to promote, like new music, new tours, or anything that's positive with you guys. I would love to have you back on the show. And I mean, it was great. And this is Ryan Johnson here, DD on the Spot, signing out. And Robert, you have a great day.
You too, my man. Thank you.
Yep.